the studio. Another guest, of course. This time around, we're talking about migration.
Yeah.
And once we talk about migration, I believe the media have a significant role to play as far as migration is concerned. And that being the case, we have here Mr. Lamin Sanneh, your Toma for that matter, to talk to us, more about the role of the media in migration literacy. A very good morning to you, Mr. Sanneh, and welcome to Good Morning Gambia.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me here this morning. Like you have rightly said, this is a Migrant Media Action project, and the project is targeting the media and communities as a whole. So it is an 18-month project that has been initiated by ROC Agency. ROC is an agency that is based in Berlin in Germany, and they've implemented a lot of activities across African countries. Gambia is not an exception. In 2020, we implemented a project that targets 4 regions in the Gambia, and that is West Coast region, North Bank region, Lower River region, and also Upper River region. And because we choose these regions basically based on the statistics of the level of irregular migration within these regions. We might not choose around Kanifing or Banjul because the number is very little compared to other regions that are highly affected when it comes to the issue of irregular migration. So we implemented this project there in 2020, but that was only 8 months, and that project ended. So in 2025, October, we finally secured another project through ROC Agency from the Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperations and Development that is in Germany. And they supported this other project that is an 18-month project that started in last year, October, and the project is going till 2027 March. The project basically...
That's about an 18-month project.
That is an 18-month project that we are currently implementing in the Gambia. So it started in October, but it started with only me as a country coordinator. Currently, we've advertised for regional coordinators that we are also appointing for the project that will be in the regions that I've mentioned and to serve as our coordinators. So the project basically is to promote credible informations.
Raise awareness.
Yes, safe migrations and also positive alternatives to livelihoods. These are components that we are trying to focus on, because but the primary reason for the project is to target the media and communities. Over the time, we've realized that media houses have done extremely well in terms of how they report on migration issues, but we've conducted a survey, and we call it. The survey was done in media houses to be able to verify and to have a first-hand information. How do media communicate to our local communities? Because this is very important. So the media that we are targeting, it might not be GRTS here or QTV there, but we are looking at the community media. How do community media relate to the community people in terms of enabling the community to have access to credible information, especially with the current issue of how information are being peddled in social media and other platforms, because we feel this is very important. Migration is a global phenomenon. We know people have been traveling, before, but it has taken a new paradigm shift in terms of how it is done today. So we did a research, and this research was done in 16 communities. And these 16 communities, we try to have an interview with 2 media personnel in their respective media houses. Also, we don't only stop at the media houses, but we also go to communities to have a conversation with them. Because what we did when we went to the media, we tried to find out how do these media people communicate to the local communities in terms of migration issues, especially irregular migrations. So we were able to understand. So we also went to the community to ask them, how do these media people have issues around migration? How do they communicate to you people? Is the communication based on local dialects, or do they speak in terms that you don't understand? Who frequently come to the radios? What have been the topics that they discussed? How have been your understanding on those topics? So we've also asked communities on so many relevant, important, especially when it comes to how people should acquire visas to travel, and we realize that these are issues in our society that we tend to look low upon them, that people don't even understand the processes to use to acquire visas. So there are key fundamental issues that this project is trying to highlight, especially how do we address this misinformation, disinformation, but how do we also make sure communities have access to credible information? How do we also make sure that communities know how to make informed decisions before they travel outside the Gambia?
Very well. This is a project that is holistically looking at migration, safe migration for that matter. Now talk to us about this survey, the findings of the survey. What have you learned from the survey that you're talking about, from the questions that you ask, the findings of the survey? You talk to us about that.
So the survey is a very important component to our intervention because we do not only want to come as a project to be able to write about everything, but we want to have a first-hand information about what is happening in the media that we want to focus on, but also what is happening in the communities. So the survey went in a very systematic way, because we from one region to the other. So we started with the North Bank region, where we have a discussion with 2 media personnel in each media houses. In fact, and we don't only limit it to radio stations, but even media houses that are in social media, and we thought they have influence in terms of information that people usually listen to them. So we try to put those people also in this project and have a discussion with them around how do they share information around migrations, especially how do they also, what is the community perceptions in terms of the migration issues that they share in the radio? Do people listen to it? Do people believe in it? Or do people have certain reservations that these issues, they don't want to listen to them because it might discourage them from embarking on the journey that they've already prepared themselves for? So these are the conversations that we have with them. So we also, community also was highly involved, especially stakeholders within the communities. We want to know how women leaders have conversations around migrations. How do they think women encourage their sons and daughters to embark on these journeys? What are some of the gaps that exist within the communities? What are the opportunities that we think exist but are difficult to access? You know, we also want to know how do community look at the issues that are on social media, especially in terms of, you know, the people not telling the realities of what exists in Europe. You know, how do communities see those things? Do we think these are problems? That's why people are currently trying to leave this country to go. Are they being misinformed? So we try to have a balance of what really exists. So that research is helping us to come up with a migration literacy guide. So this migration literacy guide is the guide that we are focusing on right now. So when we develop this guide is going to help us on the trainings that we are going to do, because we are going to work with the migration experts, for example, in the Gambia here, and these experts will go over the guide that we've created through our findings that we've done in media houses and also in communities. And this guide is going to help us to be able to strategically do our trainings in various communities. And with the appointment of our regional coordinators, these regional coordinators are also going to use this guide to do trainings in the community, with the community members, and also with the media houses.
Okay.
Come in.
Quite significant. One aspect of the implementation or two have been mentioned, that is there is a guide established following an assessment from the communities. Also, you know, regional coordinators being identified, and they will be using the guide to conduct trainings for the community. Now, the media aspect of it, utilizing, you know, the media to roll out the implementation. Talk to us, how do you intend, you know, to implement as far as migration literacy is concerned? You know, we know you have we have community radios and also other media, because your focus now is not here but in the other side of the country.
That's right. So basically our involvement with the media, because our findings, a lot of interesting things comes out of our findings, because the media plays an integral part of helping communities to make a decision in terms of what is good and what is bad. And the media serves as a catalyst in terms of how people derive informations, especially from institutions like if IOM wanted to pass on informations, probably the media in a community of Kafuta, they will rely on to hear some of those information. So it was important to us to know how do media communicate those informations that come from institutions that are very much important to the people in our local communities. So that is why we said access to credible information, because sometimes information is being circled, it's been relayed wrongly to the people that are supposed to benefit from it. But how frequent is this information also reaching to the people? For example, there's one individual in one of the community leaders who tell us that we normally don't even have migration programs frequently. We have our programs are reactionary. For example, when a boat capsizes and many gunmen lost their lives, then we will come and have a program around the boat that capsized. Immediately, 1 week, 2 weeks, that story goes down. Then we now shift our attention to other programs. Then migration becomes a priority to the programs that we do at the radio. So we realize that if there are resources available, these programs need to be ongoing. We need to have experts. We need to have influential people in the communities, yes, to come and have conversations around these things. What is wrong with our society? What is wrong with our mindset? What is wrong that is leading our prominent, our most important cohorts of our society that are all going to this youth irregular migration? But also, one thing that we've also realized, so media people will tell you, yes, sometimes you meet with young people in the streets and they will tell you, I listen to your program, it's interesting. Yeah. But the next day, those are the very young people that you will hear have gone through this journey. So what has your program? Has it impacted them?
Of the program.
Yes. So these things remain questions. That this project is trying to bring these media houses together, bring experts together. And the migration guide that we are developing is not only going to be in the English language. We are trying to translate it in Wolof, and we are translating it in our
national languages,
yes,
of course, which is quite significant.
Yes, exactly. In Mandinka and Wolof. These are the two major local languages that we are interpreting it, because the funders have already funded that, and we are working on it right now, so that we have the final version. And during the launch, that is going to start in North Bank region on the 23rd of this month, we want to present this guide for media houses. But that's not the final draft. That is just the draft that we want to present to the media houses for them to go over it, because they are the people that we went there to find out some of this information. So before we have our final version, we want to reassess them again. We present it to them, we go over it. We've also invited the community members that we've interviewed in their various communities for them to also come and go over the document and see what we have highlighted and how do we all come together to make sure that communities have access to credible information, safe migration travels, and also positive livelihoods that will enable us to live very decent in our society. And
it's just an 18-month project. I hope your work won't, close, or after the 18 months, is that just going to be the end of everything?
No, that might not be the end of everything, as part of the plans that we are working on. Because like I told you earlier, we've implemented it in 2020 when that project ends. So we reapplied to different funders in Germany. So we were lucky with the German federal economic cooperation and development that supported this one. So we are hopeful that because the capacity that we are building at the radio stations and the migrations reporters that will attend this training, the capacity that we are building, we are hopeful that even if the projects end, they will have the capacity to report on migration issues. The skills will already be there. So, so migration competence is one thing that we are trying to build with this media personnel, so that even after this project, they can continue reporting on migration issues. They can continue engaging stakeholders within, because we are also looking at the policies. And before we start the research, we did a literature review, and personally, I went over almost all interesting migration stories that have been written in the Gambia, and some journalists have done extremely well. But how are we going over these stories to be able to realign with the realities of what exists in the Gambia?
Very well, Lamin, I think we'll just have to close it there.
Yeah.
Since time is really not on our side. but quite interesting. Mr. Lamin Sanneh, the country coordinator of Migrant Media Action, we want to say a very big thank you for talking to us on Good Morning Gambia program, and we hope the 18-month project will, leave a lot of impact. Even after the project, at least will leave a lot of impact in the country that people can at least benefit from, especially, journalists can keep reporting, doing their work, continue doing their work on migration issues in the Gambia. Thank you very much for talking to us on Good Morning Gambia program.
I am happy to be part of this program.
Very well. Director, do we still have something to go with, or we go with the newspapers